Hey everyone, and welcome back to DIY with Melissa. Of course, I'm Melissa, and I have a fun project for you today. Today we're going to go through just how I went about creating this adorable shadow box frame with photographs in place for the letters. It's a lot of fun to do. To me, the hardest part is finding the photographs that the letters will slice out of nicely. But I'm going to just go through all the tips and tricks that I have. Also, you may notice that this is a bigger frame, and I had a little bit of a trick on how to print the background portion of this off of Cricut. So if you want to use a bigger frame and create something like this, let's head over to the computer and let's get this project started. We are back at the computer. We're going to get this project started. I'm first going to start by bringing in the image that I'm using, which is the Love is in the Air image. It's the only one I can find on Design Space that I like. The image number for this one is M49D6D6CB. Add that to the canvas. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a square shape. I'm going to size this to the size of my frame. So of course, whatever frame it is you are using, please ensure you size it down to that size. The inside of my frame is 9.5 by 7.5, so I am sizing it down to that size because I want it to be able to sit on the entire back portion of the frame. When we go over to put everything together, you'll see exactly what it is I mean. I'm going to change this to white and send it to the back. We can see it here. And now, as you can see, this portion is quite large, so we're going to make it smaller. There you go. I want to manipulate it by removing the word love because I am going to put the pictures in place of the wording. And I may have to move the hearts over wherever the love may sit. And the wording is in the air. I want that to also move down some so that there's enough space for um, the the word love with the pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup my design, which now splits all of the portions of this design up. It does keep the wording all together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select just the wording. I'm going to click on contour. And I want to contour everything that is here. So I just like to work with the side panel here and start clicking on all the portions I want to remove. Just like that. So I'm not touching anything in this section. I'm just removing the word love. When we X out, as you can see, the word love is now gone. I can move the is in the air portion down some, just like that. And the hearts can now also move as well. I'm then going to bring a text box in and type in the word love. Now, I like this font a lot. The font I'm using is BFC Birthday Party. It is a nice font for this project. However, the only thing I don't like is that it's slightly, the letters are slightly thin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup the letters and I'm going to go letter by letter and I'm going to offset it at a very slight offset at 0.056. When I do that, my letter is now larger, which I much prefer. We'll do that for each. The O for my project, I'm going to actually fill in the O because I want the picture to sit inside. So in order to do that, I'm just grabbing a circle, resizing it to fit over the whole of the O. I will now select both the circle that I just resized and the letter O and click on weld. Now we have a full circle. And now we can do our slight offset and apply. You can remove that one. So we're going to do the same thing for each one. And now we have a bit of a thicker letter to work with. These letters are what we're going to use to cut the photographs from. I'm going to delete this portion and I'm going to group this portion because we want it to stay together for now. Now that that's there, size it down a touch because it's touching the airplane up here. And I still need to offset it, so I think that looks good. Okay, I'm then going to offset it again. This time a little bit bigger, not much. Hit apply. This is going to be red, and I want to hit offset again. I want to ensure that the offset is touching all letters and apply. I'm going to change that to white, and I think I'm going to do one more offset, a very slight offset, and I'm going to make that black. That looks really good. Now that our offsets are complete, I'm just going to resize this one more time to ensure everything fits nicely in the space that I have. Like I said, I can move the hearts around. This portion, I can only move so much. We don't want to touch it too much. And I actually think that looks really good right there. Okay, we're going to grab our word love again that we grouped earlier and ungroup it. This, to me, is the hardest part. The hardest part for me was finding 4 photographs that would work in the letters. And I have to find 4 photographs of my husband and I that I think each letter would fit in, which was a little difficult. For me, these 4 photographs work with the letters that I have. The only thing I did was this photograph is for the L. As you can see, the L does not fit nicely here. I do need to get the 2 faces in this portion of the L. So what I did with this photograph is I just flipped it. So now here we are on the other side, and I was able to size this down and fit it where I need to. The other thing I like to do is when I am doing these types of slices in photographs, I like to see what I'm doing. And right now, of course, I can't see what this photograph could potentially look like. An easy way to make that, an easy way to be able to see what it would look like is by changing your operation to pen. And that way you're now seeing what is on the inside of the outlined letter is what will be cut, which I hope makes sense. But I'll do it like that. I'm going to select both the letter and the photograph and click on slice. And now my photograph is in the letter, just like so. Perfect. We can discard those 2 portions and we'll bring the letter O in. Again, I'm going to resize the photograph until it fits in the portion I have set for this. Select both the letter and the photograph and click on slice. Let Cricut do its thing. And there you go. Do it again. We'll bring the V. V was really hard to find a photograph. And I just happened to have this photograph from Mexico where the background, it was an infinity pool that we were at, and the background was palm trees. So it actually worked out really well for me. I hope it works really well for you all too, because this was a hard one, to be honest. And put this up here. Complete these two portions and our last one here. E was also difficult for me because it's three long rectangles in another rectangle. Select both and slice. Preferably, I would have liked it to be two different pictures or two different backgrounds at the end, but I didn't have anything, so it's all good. Okay, once you are happy with your photographs and your design, what next? Well, we want to print just the background. This portion, well, sorry, we want to print the background and the letters with the photographs in it only. The red, white, and black will be cut from cardstock on our Cricut, because then we'll layer it onto the project after. So in order to ensure that this portion prints, I'm going to select the cloud with the heart and the lines. We're going to select the wording, the hearts, and the airplane, and our background square that will act as the frame portion of the project. We're going to click on flatten. We'll send it to the back. And now this is ready to be printed. I do have a trick that I'm going to teach you right now. This project is quite large. Cricut cannot handle a 9.5 by 7.5 print and cut project because of the registration marks that's needed. However, we do not need the registration marks because I'm going to show you a little trick on how to get this size to print off your Cricut. You could, of course, bring this into Canva and print it that way, but that does, sometimes the quality is not the greatest. You need to be very careful. This is quite a large design, and if I bring it into Canva, there's a good possibility that's going to look kind of blurred and not print nicely. Smaller designs is not so bad. Go into Canva and do what you have to do, but bigger ones will be a little bit more difficult. So in order to get Cricut to do this, and honestly, this is about the biggest size that you can use for this project. Any bigger, it will not work. This trick won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my name here. There's a down arrow. I'm going to click on settings, and under load type, the print and cut page size, I'm going to change to tabloid and click on done. As you can see, the exclamation mark has now disappeared. I'm going to hide the photographs for now because I want the photographs to print on photo paper, not regular paper or cardstock like I'm going to use for the backing. I'm just going to group and hide those 4 photographs. I'll then click on make. And as you can see, the project is sitting on my mat like this. I'm actually going to spin it all the way around, and I'm going to bring it to the furthest left that I can. And of course, we have these like stairs, I guess, kind of here. So I'm going to do it to the middle square or stair and as far up as possible. So wherever Cricut will allow you to put this, you put it. So if you just kind of go like that, it puts it in the corner for you. We need it at the topmost corner because we're still using 8.5 by 11 paper, and we want it to print the entire thing. We'll then click on continue and send to printer. I never add, well, I shouldn't say never. I rarely add the bleed. In this case, I will not add the bleed. And I'm not going to use a system dialog box because it usually prints pretty decent right to from my Cricut to the printer. I am going to put my cardstock in. I am then going to cut all other portions that I need to cut, which is this love portion out of white, black, and red. It's just the different layered offsets. Once I finish doing all of this, I'm going to cancel again. I'll then hide the background and all of the offsets, and I'll bring in the group of letters. So those can also be printed. This I'll actually get Cricut to cut, whereas the background I will not, and when we move to the craft table, you'll see why. So I'm going to go ahead and get this project going, get this project cut. Once that is complete, I'll meet you back at the craft table so we can put everything together. We are back at the craft table. We're going to get this project put together. As you can see, the registration marks do cut off because we're not printing on the larger size sheet of paper, and that's totally fine. We are going to just use our paper trimmer instead to cut this down. Like I said, if you are able to, you can most definitely do this on Canva. If you're able to get the design, I'm not able to get the design big enough over to Canva, so this works out really well for me. I am using this edge as the edge that I'm going to use on here on the frame, so I'm cutting it down based on that. You will see that it's going to show a little bit of this, and that's okay because the frame is actually going to hide it. So this last bit cut. Don't mind my messy frame. I am reusing a frame I had on hand. So we'll stick that on. I am just going to use the Barely Arts precision glue to glue this, but you can use whatever glue. I've had this glue for 2 years, and I think it's finally time for me to refill it. Believe it or not, this is how long this has lasted me. And you would have seen over the last 2 years, I did create a lot of projects that used the Barely Arts glue. So get this onto here. The nice thing about the Barely Arts glue is that it gives you a bit before it actually sticks down. I'm just using my brayer to ensure it's stuck. And the last thing I'm going to do is, as you can see, there's a bit of a lip here. The rest of it looks pretty good. I'm just going to grab my the mat that I can cut on, self-healing mat, just to trim the excess off. And I could have just stuck this on and did the exact same thing. A bit on here as well. Okay, before I move ahead, I just want to show you that because of this frame having the insert, I'm able to just pop that in there like that, and we can't see any of the lines that came out. So that's just a little hack. If you want to get this project done in a bigger frame, that's the way you can do it. But of course, you have other options like Canva or Word, Adobe, whatever the case may be, to design and create the project there instead. I'm just gonna pop this back out, set this aside, and get this going. So we have our letters all cut out, and of course, this portion, the photographs, the most important portion, is also cut out. I'm going to get these in place first, and I glued the photographs to the first offset, and then I'm going to use foam tape to give it like a raised look. So I am just going to use again the Barely Arts glue that I desperately need to refill, but do it later. Tweezers can be your best friend when it comes to these types of projects. Just helps you move things around. Without getting your glue all over your fingers. As much as I love to craft, there's nothing worse than getting glue on my fingers, to be honest. As crazy as that sounds. All right, set that aside and get the other two letters on. The Barely Arts glue, not only does it take a moment for it to set, it also dries clear, which is a fantastic thing. Because you make a mistake, you can actually move it and it's not noticeable, which is really good. All right, so our letters are now on. I did use a shimmer red cardstock. I used a shimmer white cardstock for this portion because I'm just a little extra like that. I'm going to use the braiding tool just to ensure it's stuck nicely. Okay. So we're going to let that dry and we're going to move to the next part. So we have our black and we have our white here, and I'm just going to use the foam strips to stick this on. We're going to do the same thing for this portion here. These foam stickers that I'm using are also made by Barely Arts. They're called Cubies. They can also be found on my Amazon storefront. I do like them. They came with 4 different sizes. These strips here, I think they're 1/4 inch, and then the bigger ones that are a little bit bigger. All right, get this onto here, and this is a very tight fit, so we are good right there. These are the thicker strips versus the thinner strips. I'm going to use the thicker ones for this part. And you don't need a lot because it is just sitting in a frame. So you don't need to go crazy with the foam strips. I'm going to pop this into the frame. And how gorgeous is that? Oh my goodness, I'm in love. I am so happy with how this project turned out. I hope you are too, and I really hope you give it a try. Maybe make it for the hubby or the wife, whoever it might be. It's super adorable. It's a cute little keepsake, and also a reminder that we need to go on vacations more often. As always, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, hit that bell button so you're notified when I post new videos, and of course, subscribe. I hope you're having fun over here at DIY with Melissa. Until next time, have a fabulous week ahead. Happy crafting. Take care. Bye now.